My name's Daisy, and I've never told this story to anyone outside of that mountain town. Until now. 3 winters ago, I was stuck alone in a rental cabin just east of Donner Pass on I-80 in the Sierra Nevada. You know that stretch of highway? The one they close when the storms come in? The one where, back in 1846, a group of stranded pioneers did things to survive that nobody ever wants to think about too hard? Yeah, that's the one. My husband Marcus had left for a work trip 2 days earlier. The storm rolled in the night after he left, and somewhere around 2 in the morning my TV turned on by itself. I told myself it was the wind. I told myself a lot of things that night. The cabin was a rental, one of those wood frame places just off Old Highway 89, maybe 6 miles from the Donner Lake turnoff. Marcus had found it online, said it'd be romantic. A week in the Sierra Nevada before he flew to Chicago for work. We got there on a Thursday. By Saturday morning he was gone, and by Saturday night, the storm the weather app had been warning about for days finally showed up. I remember standing on the front porch in my socks, watching the snow come down in these thick heavy sheets, and thinking, this is beautiful. This is peaceful. The trees were bending. The road had already disappeared under 6 inches of white. My cell signal was down to 1 bar. I went back inside, locked the door, and told myself I was fine. I was not fine. It was around 2 in the morning when the TV turned on. I wasn't asleep. I'd been lying there in the dark, listening to the storm, that low freight train howl the wind makes when it really gets going through the pines. Then the screen just lit up. No warning. No gradual brightening. Just on. Some old black and white movie, the volume cranked to about 30%. I sat up so fast I knocked my water glass off the nightstand. I grabbed the remote from the side table and clicked it off. Silence. Just the wind again. I sat there in the dark for a good minute, heart hammering, telling myself it was a power surge, some old wiring in the cabin messing with the electronics. Old cabin. Old wiring. That's all. I lay back down and pulled the covers up to my chin, and that's when I felt it. There was weight on the other side of the bed. Not a dramatic crash, not like someone had thrown themselves down. More like the slow, deliberate settling you feel when another person carefully lies down next to you, trying not to wake you. The mattress dipped, gradually, like something was easing itself down onto the sheets inch by inch. I went completely still. I held my breath. The cabin was locked. I checked every window before I went to sleep. The latch on the back door, the deadbolt on the front. Nobody was in here. Nobody could be in here. And yet, the mattress was dipping, and I could feel the faint warmth of a presence next to me. Not body heat exactly, more like the absence of cold in a space that should have been cold. My fingers were gripping the sheets so tight my knuckles had gone white. I told myself Marcus had come back early, that his flight to Chicago had gotten canceled. The storm, obviously, half the Sierra Nevada was shutting down, and he'd driven back up the mountain in the dark and let himself in quietly. That made sense. That was the only thing that made sense. I almost convinced myself. I almost said his name out loud. But then I thought if it was Marcus, he would have said something. He would have kissed me on the head, said hey, said the airport was a nightmare. He would have done something to let me know he was there. He wouldn't just lie down in complete silence, perfectly still, in the dark. The presence beside me wasn't moving, wasn't breathing the way a person breathes. And the longer I lay there with my eyes clamped shut, the more I understood. This wasn't Marcus. This wasn't anyone I knew. I counted to 3. Then I made myself roll over. The lamp on the nightstand was within reach. I grabbed it and yanked the chain in one motion. The light came on. I spun to face the other side of the bed. The pillow was dented. Right in the center, that deep, unmistakable oval dent you get when a head has been resting on a pillow for a while. But there was nobody there. The sheets on Marcus's side were pulled back slightly, like someone had just gotten out of bed, still warm to the touch. I pressed my hand flat against them and I felt it, that residual heat. My throat closed up. I couldn't scream. I just stood there at the edge of the mattress, barefoot on that cold wood floor, and stared at the dent in the pillow. Something had been lying next to me. Something had just gotten up. I grabbed my phone off the charger. 1 bar, barely enough for a call. I started to dial Marcus, then stopped. I heard something from the far side of the room. Slow, deliberate, like something moving inside the old wardrobe in the corner. These old Sierra Nevada rentals always have those big freestanding wardrobes. No built-in closets, just this enormous dark wood thing that takes up half a wall. The door was cracked open. I was certain I'd closed it before bed. Certain. The crack was maybe 2 inches wide, not wide enough to see what was inside. And then, I am not exaggerating, I am not misremembering, I have gone over this 10,000 times, I heard my name. From inside the wardrobe, a woman's voice. Soft. Not a scream, not a wail. Just my name, spoken the way you'd say it to someone right next to you. I called Marcus's mother. She was the only person I had. The nearest town was Truckee, 20 minutes down the mountain on a good day. And in that storm, the road was barely passable. But she had a truck, and she knew that road, and when I told her, voice shaking so bad I could barely get the words out, that something was in the cabin with me, she didn't ask questions. She just said, I'm coming. 35 minutes later, headlights swept across the bedroom wall. I heard the truck door slam, heard her boots on the porch, heard her knock. I ran to the front door and yanked it open, and she stepped inside shaking snow off her coat. This small, solid woman who never showed fear about anything. She took one look at my face and said, Daisy, what on God's green earth happened to you? I started to answer her. I opened my mouth, and then I saw her, standing just behind Marcus's mother, not touching her, not close enough to be seen unless you were looking past her. A woman, young, maybe 25, dark hair soaked through like she'd been out in the snow for hours. Her dress was wrong for the weather, wrong for the decade, something old, something 19th century. And where her eyes should have been, there were just hollow, dark spaces. No whites, no irises, just 2 holes in her face, like someone had pressed their thumbs into wet clay. She was looking directly at me. She was smiling. I grabbed Marcus's mother by the arm and yanked her inside and slammed the door. When I looked back through the window, the porch was empty. No tracks in the snow. Nothing. Like she'd never been standing there at all. I passed out. That's the honest truth. I hit the floor in the entryway and Marcus's mother caught me. She said later I was out for less than a minute, but when I came around I was on the couch with a blanket over me and she was on the phone with someone, her voice low and tight. My blood pressure was through the roof. She checked it on the little travel monitor she keeps in her truck. She was trying to get a doctor on the line. The storm was still raging outside. The TV in the bedroom, I could see it from where I was lying, was dark and off and had been since I clicked it off hours earlier. But the wardrobe door was fully open now, all the way, and the pillow on Marcus's side of the bed had that dent in it again. The same one, fresh. By morning the storm had eased enough for the road crew to clear a path. Marcus's mother drove me down to Truckee. I called Marcus from the hospital. He answered on the second ring, voice groggy and confused. He'd been asleep in his Chicago hotel room. He hadn't come back. Of course he hadn't. The ER doc said my blood pressure had spiked to a genuinely dangerous level. They kept me for 6 hours. While I was waiting, Marcus's mother stepped out to call the rental company about the cabin. She came back 20 minutes later with a look on her face I'll never forget. Apparently the woman I'd seen, the description I'd given her in the truck on the way down, matched someone the neighbors knew. A young woman who'd stayed in that same cabin a few winters back, who'd gone missing during a storm, whose body was never found. Here's where it gets darker. Marcus got back from Chicago 4 days later. I couldn't stay in that cabin. I'd refused to go back and he didn't fight me on it. We stayed in a motel in Truckee while we figured things out. But the night before we were supposed to drive home, I found something on his phone. I wasn't snooping. His screen lit up with a notification and I glanced over. A name I didn't recognize. A woman's name. Messages going back a year. And then I started looking. I found a court record. Before he met me, before we got together, Marcus had been in a relationship with another woman. There'd been a restraining order. Then it was dropped. Then she disappeared. The case was still open. The investigators had ruled it suspicious. She'd last been seen near a cabin rental in the Sierra Nevada, near Donner Pass, near ID. I confronted Marcus that night. He denied everything. Said the restraining order was a misunderstanding, said she'd left him, said she just packed up and moved somewhere warm. He had an answer for everything, calm, measured, the same voice he used when he was explaining something obvious to someone who should already know. I lay awake next to him that night in the motel, staring at the ceiling, and I thought about the dent in the pillow, that weight settling onto the mattress. I thought about the woman standing behind his mother in the doorway, soaking wet in that old dress, that snow-soaked hair, smiling at me, not threatening me, not reaching for me. Smiling the way you smile when someone finally sees what you've been trying to show them for a very long time. She wasn't there to scare me. She was there to warn me. I left the next morning before Marcus woke up. I packed one bag, took the car keys off the nightstand, and walked out. I called my sister from a gas station in Reno. I didn't tell her everything. Not then. Just said the marriage was over and I needed somewhere to go. I told the full story to investigators 6 months later, after they reopened the case. I told them about the cabin, the TV, the wardrobe, the figure in the doorway. The detective who interviewed me didn't laugh. He'd worked missing persons in that Sierra Nevada corridor for 18 years, and he told me quietly, almost to himself, that I wasn't the first person to report something strange from that stretch of mountain near Donner Pass. He said the land up there held things. His words, not mine. The land up there holds things. It always has. I want to tell you one more thing before I go. About 6 months after I left, the rental company sold that cabin. The new owners were doing renovations, pulling up old floorboards, replacing the wiring. Inside the wall behind the wardrobe, the contractors found something. I heard about it through Marcus's mother, who'd kept in touch. She called me late one night and she was crying, which she never did ever, and she told me what they'd found. I can't repeat all of it, but I'll tell you this. There were personal effects. A woman's personal effects, sealed inside the wall. A photograph. A shoe. And scratched into the wood over and over in letters barely legible. The same name scratched the same way 20-30 times. The name of the woman Marcus had told me moved somewhere warm. She hadn't moved anywhere. She'd never left that mountain. Which part of this story is still rattling around in your head right now? Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do it now, because the next story coming out of these mountains is even darker than this one. And I need you to be here for it.